My name is Carrie Stubbs. I'm a Swiss-American artist. I'm an installation artist and a painter. In 1997 I moved to Germany and I studied at the Kunstakademie in Düsseldorf. I studied with Pank and with Helmut Federer. So when I studied with Pank, it was really interesting. He always told me, your work is about having a lot of things and then just having nothing. And I always thought, what is he talking about? It took me like years and years to think about that again and really relate to what he was talking about. And actually, he was absolutely right. And I think it's taken me a long time to kind of appreciate that and to embrace that. That's what I'm really interested in. I usually, I paint and make installations. My artistic practice, I look at geometries and color and light, and I look at how different light sources work with different geometric forms and how that frames light and our sensation of what happens to us when we look at the light and when we experience it. Similar thing with color. I look at planes of color and how they interact with each other and what happens in the surfaces when one color is next to each other, one moves forward and the other moves back. And always that play with space. So architecture plays an important role in creating my work. So by architecture, I have a very general idea of what architecture is. In other words, when I think about architecture, I also think about the geometric forms as being architecture. So very similar to Georgia O'Keeffe. In her work, she often looked through bones and skeletons and was looking at the window that came out of that structure, and made a lot of paintings having to do with something being close and looking through that. And architecture for me is really similar. So when I look at some sort of forms, whether it's an architecture where it's a window or whatever, I look at really how light comes through an architectural space. I really look at a lot of minimalists, and what I'm really thinking about is the process of how minimalism came about. So in terms of the history of painting, because I came to this work as a painter. So throughout the history of painting, painting evolved. We looked at, or the painters really looked at creating a three-dimensional space on a two-dimensional surface. And then through abstraction, all of those things kind of got pushed to the side, and they really looked at that flat surface and color. And what started happening was that you had planes of color moving actually away from the canvas and into the room. And that kind of fascinates me. And so I really pull from that and I look at that. And within the minimalists, a lot of them do that, and a lot of them also bring in geometries and repetition and multiples.